Question 5 is miserable. It is really tough, but we can do it. Let's get started. 3 friends own a landscaping business. The number of hours each friend spends on the same project is shown in the table below. There is that table. So Edgar, 17 and a quarter hours. Good for him. Kelly, 18 and a quarter. Wow, that's a lot. Sean, 14 and a half. Bring up the rear, Sean. Not so good. In total, they earned $850 for the job. They put 15% of this amount into a joint savings account for future expenses. Then they divided the rest proportionally based on the number of hours each worked. How much money did Sean receive? Okay, so they earned $850. So it's a big pot of money. Big pot of money. This is a big pot of money. $850. Then they put 15% into a savings account. That's 15%. And the rest of the money, they divided to Edgar, Kelly, and Sean. But they didn't divide it 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. They divided it up proportionally. How do we even get started? Well, we need to know how much money they divided up proportionally, right? We know $850 started, and we have 15% to the savings account, and the rest is going to go to the proportional division. So let's start with 850. We need to know how much 15% of that is. We do a little cross multiplication, right? Because it's percent over 100 equals what over 850. We do a little cross multiplication and we get 15 times 850 divided by 100. Plug that in your calculator and you come up with $127.50. Does that mean they divide up $127.50? No. That means that $127.50 is the amount that goes, is the 15% that goes away, that goes to the joint savings account for future projects. To get this amount, you have to take $850 minus that 15%, $850 minus that $127.50, and what are you going to get? Shows it right here. Just plug in your calculator. $722.50. That's the amount they're going to divide up. If you want to do it a different way, you can say, well, I know this is 100% here. This whole thing is 100%. This is minus 15%. So this here is going to be 85%. And you could find 85 out of 100, cross multiply it to 850, do 85 times 850 divided by 100. And if you do that, you will surprisingly find it is exactly the same, 722.50 cents. Either way you do it, your first step is complete. You have found that this big box of money that they're going to divide up among themselves is $722.50. Okay, so next, how are we going to divide this up proportionally? We can't just divide by 3, right? Because it's proportional to the amount of hours they worked. Well, let's find out how much hours they worked. First, I'm just going to change these into decimals because that's easier to work with in my mind. So I'm going to take 17 and 1/4, do 1 divided by 4. That equals 17 and a quarter because 1 divided by 4 equals 0.25. Again, 1 divided by 4 here will equal 0.25. So 18 and a quarter gets me to 18.25. And then 1 divided by 2, that's 14 and a half, but 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, so that gets me to 14.5. Take a moment and digest how I did that if you need to. Okay, so now we're going to add up because we know the total amount of money is $722.50 that they're going to divide. We need the total amount of hours because the total amount of money is going to be proportional to the total amount of hours. All right, so let's add all these numbers up. 25 plus 25 plus 50. That gets me an even, well, it's 5 plus 5 gets me 10. 0, carry the 1. 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 5 was 3 plus 4, 5 plus 5 is another 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 7 plus 8 plus 4 is an even 20. So carry the 2. And 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is an even 5. So there we go. That's a nice round number. That's helpful that the test makers gave us a round number like that. I guess it's not super helpful because we have a calculator for this problem. But we know that $722 is going to be proportional to 50 hours worked. And how much did Sean work? Well, he worked 14 and a half hours. So we're just going to do this. Remember, the question is, how much did Sean receive? So we're just going to do this, a proportional relationship. We have Sean who received, remember, 14, and 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. Sean worked 14.5 hours. So we do the math. We do 722.5 times 14.5. We divide by 50. Plug that into our calculator, and we find that the answer is A. And we're good.